All right, our next guest says the future of finance is female.
That's right, and I recently caught up with an executive from Bank of America Consumer Banking and Merrill Edge. Here's what she had to say about women and money. Take a look.
So, Curtis, thank you for that. Yes, women are more in control than they've ever been. 75% of the women say they have more financial power than they've ever had in the past 20 years, and 55% that they say they are the primary financial decision maker in their household.
All right, well, let's follow that up with talking about investing. How's that changed, and what's happening there for women?
So both men and women, performance is paramount. They're all looking for companies that are performing well. But from there, women are more apt to invest in companies that have a social impact. So issues around pay equity, issues around promoting diversity, and environmental sustainability are all social concerns that women have. And so they are investing, nearly 90% of them are investing in companies that have those kinds of social impact.
I love that. What about confidence, though? Because it would seem to me that men would be more aggressive with their investing and women would be a little bit more practical and kind of like, cautious.
Your instincts are right, Curtis. Women are less comfortable trusting their instincts when it comes to investing. They're comfortable trusting their instincts on buying a car or purchasing a house, but not when it comes to investing. The silver lining, though, is that they're taking the time to be prepared. They're doing the research, they're building relationships with professional experts, and they're making informed decisions. So that's the good news.
Well, I think this is the important part for everybody, man or woman. All Americans, we can benefit from professional help when it comes to investing because the market, it's going crazy right now, and that's great, but it really helps to be with a professional, right?
Absolutely, especially when you're new to the market. I always advise folks to build that relationship with a professional expert and advisor who can help them build that plan, that financial plan for themselves, and then be a sounding board and make some recommendations about what might make sense for that strategy. And that, coupled with doing research online, really helps people stay on track.
All right, well, there's the DIYers out there. Everyone loves to kind of feel like they can do it themselves. They've watched Wall Street or watched some movie and think that they can be a day trader. What do you have advice for them?
Well, it is interesting. 40% of the people that we talked to indicated that they are comfortable using artificial intelligence and online technology to help them make those financial decisions. And there are those solutions out there. Merrill Edge has a guided investment strategy. Others do as well. And so there is that option for those who are comfortable with that. But I always advise people, do the research first. Make sure that you have a plan that you're sticking to, and that will help you weather, to your point, the fluctuations that will inevitably happen in the market over time.
All solid, sound advice we're getting here. Where can our viewers go to get more about this?
So merrilledge.com/report will give you the full report and additional insights, as well as the deep research that you need to help you make those informed investment decisions going forward.
Appreciate your time, Anna. You have a great day.
You as well, Curtis. Thank you.
And we want to thank Merrill Edge for bringing us that information.